So remember what point slope form tells us. Point slope form, again, it's more important that you know how to write it down than the name of it. But it's the form y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Write it down every time you're about to use it, and you'll memorize it in no time. What that form tells us is you only need two things to find the equation of a line. You need the slope and a point on the line, right? It doesn't have to be the y-intercept. Here we're given 2 points. So we've got more than enough points. What don't we have? The slope. Can we find it? Yes. So, you know, students get the wrong impression. In your introductory math class, your teacher might say, well, step 1, find the slope, right? Step 2, blah, blah, blah. It's better to think about in terms, if you have an equation you're supposed to memorize anyway, it's better to write, instead of thinking in terms of step 1, step 2, and step 3, it's better to write down the equation that you want to fill in and let it tell you the steps. Think about it. This equation tells you you need a slope. Since you have to memorize that equation anyway, why memorize the steps when the equation tells you you need slope, right? It tells you the steps, essentially. What else does it tell you you need? You need an x1 and a y1, and the x and y stay x and y, right? The x1, y1 is 1 point, so you need 2 things to find the equation of a line. The point, x1, y1, and the slope. That equation tells you that. You don't need to write down step 1, step 2, step 3. If you think about what the equation is telling you that you need. Okay, so how do I find the slope? Well, I know how to find the slope. I use the slope formula, right? So that's what we're going to do here first. Again, it's not really a step 1 type of thing. It's like, what else are you going to do? That's how you should think about it. I need the slope. Let's find the slope. And that's easier on your brain than memorizing a bunch of separate steps. It really is easier. Okay, so take the differences between the y's. What I always do is I point my finger at the second y value and then at the first y value, and I just subtract 1, the second y value minus the first. I don't memorize it in terms of y2 minus y1. You can if you want, but I think that's more taxing on your brain than just remembering find the difference between the y's. Use your fingers to make sure you point at the right thing, to make sure you write down the right thing. So 1 minus negative 4, and then be consistent with your selection of coordinates. So you selected 1 first on top, you got to select 6 first on the bottom. So point at 6 and 3 and subtract 6 minus 3. Isn't that easier than labeling x1, y1? It's way easier than labeling x1, y1, x2, y2, and then writing down the slope form. You don't want to do that. Difference between the rise over run. Difference between the y's divided by the difference between the x's. That's what it is. Oh, well, we've got to simplify that. What does that turn out to be? 5 on top, right? Over 3. All right, can you fill in the point slope form for me? What do you get? Y, oh, then the question becomes, we've got 2 points. Which one do we use? Well, guess what? It doesn't matter. Once you solve it for y, you're going to get, stuff will cancel out, and you'll get the same equation either way. Okay? So which one do you want to use for your x1, y1? Yeah, either one's fine. I'm thinking 6, 1 because it has no negatives in it, though. That's how my brain thinks. So it's y minus, what am I going to plug in for y1? I'm going to plug in y1. Always point at the y coordinate. So 1, yeah. So y minus y1. So this guy's my y1. And then m, we decided was 5/3 times what? X minus 6. You can't mix and match the coordinates. If you pick this guy as your y1, then this guy has to be your x1. You can't like choose the 3 as your x1. That won't work. So then minus 6. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So this is the equation of the line in point slope form. If you wanted to change it to slope intercept form, you solve it for y. Okay? So just like the last problem, you'd have to multiply out the 5/3 and then add the 1, find common denominator, add the 1, okay? But I'm going to stop there. I'm going to leave it in point slope form in this one.